every Tuesday we bring on Tony D. And again, he's developed quite a following up on the social media, including Twitter. If you'd like to follow him, you can. Just get up there, get on Twitter. It's Tony D'Angelo 7, I believe. Right, Tony?
Yes, sir. Good morning, and proud to be among everyone.
How are you, pal? Everything good?
Everything is good. And maybe one thing isn't good. I'm just so tired of phoniness and phony politicians and, the usual stuff that we see. And if I can start off with this, I'd like to spend a moment where we left off last week about Senate Bill 443 and where these lovely legislators have tried to make it okay to steal our tax information for their own purposes, whatever they may be. And when I posted the letter on Twitter, it was coming back and being circulated and retweeted in the thousands. Now, I certainly didn't expect that, but a number of people came back to me and they said, thank you for doing that because you've shown us that, one person, any one of us, not me, but any one of us could make a difference. We really do operate in this world where we think that everything is so big and, against us and, you can't fight City Hall. My father used to say that all the time, but it really is a case, and I find this more and more, especially with all these glass houses that these people live in, that a mouse clawing at a dike can flood an entire nation. So I just want to encourage everybody today. We live in a world of failed systems. Our political systems have failed us. Just about everybody has. Our media, forget about it. Keep your values and keep everything you believe. I was saying to somebody over the weekend, it's important to speak out. And what somebody told me years ago, each one, reach one, teach one. And that's how you do it, a little bit at a time. And I really believe that if we keep doing that, things will change. But I just wanted to kind of give that report of encouragement. If somebody needs it out there, don't give up. There's a lot of work to do.
Absolutely. Tony D'Angelo with us each and every Tuesday. And as always, I say this to you. We don't really take calls during this segment, although I guess we could. But if you have something you want Tony to try to tackle, he always loves to do that, and a challenge is always right there for him. All right, so where are we starting off?
We're going to talk, and the thing about keeping your values. Ned, our governor, the esteemed governor, Ned Lamont, always talks about Connecticut values. Ned has used this term, Connecticut values. We value things in Connecticut. We value things that they don't value in these evil states like Texas or Florida or, places like that. And this high commitment to Connecticut values even dictates, Lee Elci, to whom the state does business with, and Ned has been very clear about that. If you go back a couple weeks ago, our treasurer, Sean Wooden, demanded that all of the Russian assets be pulled from our pensions. Again, this is a statement, their words, not mine, of Connecticut values. Now, here's me. Here's humble little old me, and I believe that if you have values, whatever your value system is, whether I agree with it, whether I don't, I want you to be consistent. I want you to be 360 in these values. I think people deserve that so they know whether to agree or disagree with you. And they need to know that you're genuine. You may be, wrong as a 10-toed foot, but they need to know that. So it's interesting, something I came across, and this is back to Connecticut values. Last month, the Cayman Islands are governed parenthetically by the United Kingdom, Great Britain. And the Privy Council, which is like their high district court, which is the final court of appeals, ruled that gay people, people who are gay, do not have the right to marry in the Cayman Islands. It's stated in their Constitution. And there are people in the panel from Bermuda and the Caymans and things like that. The three Cayman judges unanimously came down and said, nope, can't do it. Okay, so let's go a little bit farther. It's when you start to do a little digging, the Cayman Islands, when you look at, places where people who are gay would feel comfortable, the Cayman Islands has like a big red, whatever you want to call it, target on it, that it is probably one of the most gay unfriendly places in the entire world. Go to a site and I'm not going to read what's on the site. It's not fit for radio as far as how people are treated. GlobalGaze, GAYZ.com, and read some of the things that people are saying about the Cayman Islands. And I asked the question, here is Ned. Ned has always been a stalwart for gay marriage and gay rights, going back to when he was running for Lieberman, running against Lieberman. You could look it up, his wife as well. So if we are aware on this show, due to our hard work of looking at things that Ned has been involved with, there are at least 3 major places in the state where the state is dealing documented with financial placements in the Cayman Islands. The first is our well-known, HCF3, LP3, and 4 that we know are the whatever you want to call it. They're the business end of what's happening with Semaphore and Unite Us and things like that. And it's like people want to run from it. Look, stop not admitting it. We got the documents. It's there. The second is our lovely University of Connecticut that has a $50 million documented investment in the Horse Barn Hill Investment Fund located in the Cayman Islands. The others is, we don't go here enough, and probably we should because we probably could do hours on this alone, is our state pension. Now, Treasurer Wooden, who's very concerned about getting Russian assets out, there's a couple of things that are Cayman-based. The ISO Global Infrastructure Fund 3 LP has about $225 million in it. And the OHC 3, the same base Cayman Island fund, looking right at the slide, has $97.5 million, all Cayman base. So, and this is the thing that really troubles me. If Ned and his acolytes are nearly as devoted to Connecticut values, bunch of hypocrites, as they say they are, they must be consistent and divest all this stuff out of the Cayman Islands. I mean, what is the difference? And, you might chuckle at this. You might think I'm a wise guy. You might be shocked or whatever the case may be. I'm talking about values. I'm talking about what one values. And this guy is as phony as a $9 bill. And it's like, we know who he is. We know he's a bad lead actor in a McKinsey pandemic play. And if you sit there and you enable him and you don't call him on this and you're in the media and you're before him, shame on you. Really, shame on you. But that's my first rant.
I tell you, as far as values go and character, this is one of the things that I like to talk about the most on this show and how we don't have it. But apathy, Tony, has allowed this to happen. People just don't care. As long as they get theirs, they don't care. And I hate to say that. Not the people that are listening to this show. I think you're
right.
Not the people that are listening to us right now. That's different. But the majority of folks out there who are, slugging through their life, okay, so they just come to the conclusion that Ned is doing a little this and a little that, and there's a little this and a little that, but, I'm all good, so I don't care. It's sad, but I feel like that's the case for a lot of people.
Well, and I'm glad you said that, because it's like if somebody's lied to in a business relationship or a marital relationship or something like that, you did this to me, you did that to me, but here's somebody really stealing your money,
right,
wrecking things around you, and that's okay, provided you give me my whatever it is I'm begging for until I come back and do it again.
Yeah.
I think there comes a point where, it's like when he's not going to have it to give. It's happening now with the COVID testing.
Right.
He's running out of money. I mean, you have to be patient, and I have to keep telling myself this, but you're absolutely right about people. Now, it's an interesting point on the Caymans. I just wanted to bring this one thing up. I was doing some work for one of my tax attorney clients this week who does foreign partnerships, and I said, do you ever get involved in the Cayman Islands? And he said, it's kind of weird. He says, the problem that you have in the Cayman Islands is that there is no tax treaty. So what do you mean by that? I mean, to your point of do you care, do you not care? And what does that actually mean? Well, if there were enough people, again, each one reach one, teach one, that started to get after Ned for his twisted value system to the point where he became so embarrassed and he started, he and Annie started repatriating this money back into this country. There is no treaty. Interest, fines, penalties. It's like you can't go out there. And this is the thing that really drives me crazy, Lee Elci, and say, I am this, I am that, I have these wonderful values. When you are a freaking hypocrite and, you're placing money in a place that don't agree with your values. I mean, because it's profitable for you.
And, I was going to add to this whole idea. Like, I think there's this expectation that in certain businesses, people steal, like in the bar business, anything cash related. If you're the owner of that, people just say, okay, there's a certain amount of the profits I know. So even if I hire great people, they're going to take a little for themselves. I guess I understand that. I don't think we thought of that in politics, but that's what it is. I mean, I feel like that's where it is now. We're at this place where it's not that bad. So he's not doing that much. When in fact he is. But my point is, even stealing a penny from the public should be a reason to kick the person to the curb. But I just feel like we're as a nation or as a people, we just expect to be stolen from.
And I think, you're right. But then it gets to a point where finally you're stolen from and nothing's coming back to you.
Right.
And we're a lot closer to that than whatever his spin machine is and whatever he tells you. But, well, you're right. I mean, you get hit in the head so many times, it feels good when when somebody stops. But
I like that. That's a good way to put it.
One thing, kind of tied into this, I'd like to give a Ned Coin update, if I may.
Please.
The folks in Pennsylvania have been emailing and calling, and it's absolutely, all this stuff comes when, there's like 10,000 other things, and you're trying to do your best with everything. And the FBI and the grand jury investigation is still going on there, as, at least we know we have an FBI investigation here. There is a new Oak Fund. It's Oak 5 that's starting up. And there is some discussion there of whether they get into the Oak 5 fund. Curiously, the Oak 5 is chartered in Delaware, so I think that, the fact that we've made the world aware of the Cayman Islands might have embarrassed them a little bit. But, again, it's a secrecy place, and it is known as a tax haven. Interesting article in this would be in a pension journal that I was reading. The Buyout Insider, somebody had sent this to me. The Peasers board is very concerned about investing with the Oak funds again, primarily because the issue that they're being investigated over is inflated investment figures. And also, there are two conflicts. At least they have the brains down there to call up the conflicts. They're saying, well, the state has used Semaphore and the state has used, Unite Us, and that's not what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be fiduciaries. We're supposed to be managing. And, they're hung up on that one question. So they've been calling me, hey, what's happening up here? But basically that's something taking place. The other thing is that Semaphore has dogged out horribly. And I think the last time I looked, it was like $3 a share. And it is subject by its own admission to class action suits. It's not uncommon when securities fall. The first thing they do is blame the management. A lot of this comes from the merger with this Gene DX that happened last month. And if you go, and this is the thing that gets so aggravating, if you read the local papers, it's like, oh, wonder is Semaphore doing all these wonderful things. But you can't lie to the SEC, and they're saying in their proxy statements that shall we continue to be under such claims at Semaphore, and I'm reading from the March 2022 proxy statement, we've not generated sustained positive cash flow. How about that? You know what happens when that happens. And if we're not able to secure additional funding when needed, we may have to reduce our marketing or cease operations. Now, where that becomes really relevant locally, couple of questions here I'd like answered. No politician is coming near this, and frankly, it aggravates me. Semaphore was supposed to close up testing in this state, right? They're supposed to be done and all this other stuff?
Yep.
What is close to $700,000 being given to them in March for? to what? To prop up the stock, to hang wallpaper. The state is still paying them. What are they paying them for? You don't believe me? Go to Open Checkbook and look it up. I was on the floor. I mean, believe every lie that, integrity-filled Ned will tell you. And the other thing, moreover, there's still $10.5 million that the state owes that Semaphore owes the state for its startup loan. $10.5 million. What might have happened is that they might have swapped this debt for equity. If that's the case, God help us all, because if I look at the SEC documents, there's about 500,000 Semaphore shares that Connecticut Innovations has. So it's like $10.5 million for $1.5 million. You can't survive if you're making those kind of trades. Again, there's no coverage of it. And I mean, it's like, I shake my head, and it's like, stop lying to us, stop having these hypocritical values, and will people in these positions near him and around him start calling him out? I'm very grateful I have the opportunity, but again, each one has to reach one.
So the people running for governor, and there are officially 2 running against him right now until maybe after the convention in a month, and who knows, maybe there'll still be 2. But I mean, should they be addressing different things here, different specific things that you're mentioning? Are they not talking about the right thing with Ned? That's not resonating with people, Tony? Are they not talking about it enough? If you were in charge of, let's say, Bob's campaign, how would you go about advising him to attack Ned on some of this
My
stuff?
concern, and I've said this, and I'm not secretive about it, Bob is a lovely man. I want to see him win. And I think in this state, you have perfect models. You have the model in Virginia. You have what Virginia did. And I sit there and I scratch my head and I say, why don't you do what Virginia did? I mean, we have a situation here in Connecticut where it's, we've always felt we're different, Lee Elci. We've always felt that, we're not like those other people. We always find a way to get along. But our way to get along has brought us into a horrendous rut. I mean, next week we're going to look at the DECD again. I mean, and that to me is you might as well just take wheelbarrows of cash and just wheel them out the door to garbage. Millions of dollars spent without accountability, without anything clear. This $10.5 million went out to Semaphore.
Right.
It's like, well, is it ever going to get paid back? What did they do? I mean, we're digging on that now, but this is all information that should be there. And I think that if you're running against that, and if you're accepting that, I don't want to see you become part of the same problem. It's like, we're going to do this a little bit better. I mean, you can't do bad better. You got to get rid of bad and do better.
People
that's how I would advise.
Right. Okay. That's fair enough. And that's a good point. So, people listening and they hear these numbers, 10 million here, 5 million here, 700,000, a billion for this, $500 million for that, or whatever. Tony, and I always ask the question, and nobody really seems to be able to give you that concrete answer. Like, where does all this money go? I mean, it's just absurd how much money's being thrown around. You're talking about walking out with wheelbarrow filled with money. I'm looking at this project down here in New London where they're essentially almost filling in the Thames to put up these huge turbines to carry them out to sea so that they can put them in the ocean to do wind that'll be relatively ineffective. Somebody's making like buckets of money with this stuff, and who's walking away with this stuff?
Well, I mean, I think everything's a committee. Everything is some political connection to something. I mean, it's those are the people that make the money. And the other thing is, when you have a committee, everything has, we need to do something. And when you do this, you've immediately got 5 people, 6 people, 7 people. You've immediately got these, I'm going to call them, dark money nonprofits. These are the people that are making the money. I mean, is there outright stealing? There has been. I've had my questions, but it's like, that's where it goes. I mean, yesterday I got in the car and I went down to New Haven. Oh, what a sad sight that is. And drove the 91 to the 84. And I'm like, these roads are like Yucca Flats after the blast.
Yep.
How much do we pay DOT?
Yep.
How much, why are we paving these roads every single year when Germany paves them once every 50 years? We don't have that kind of thinking, and it's just like, well, we'll just get more money. We'll just get more money from the federal government. But my cronies are a little bit better than your cronies. I'm so tired of it.
Tony, it looks like we're going to run out of time, but I did have something maybe we can talk about next week. I'll save it, but and this is something we had talked about probably over a year ago, and you did a whole hour on it one morning. But new study shows that the Biden administration's new plan to address bias in the housing market. And remember, you had attacked that a while ago. Maybe. We could circle back. I'll send you the stuff and you can take a look at it. But
that'll be fun. Yeah, we can look at that and look at some more of these other things that stem from this.
All right. Did we leave anything on the table, or did we get to all of it today?
I think we got all that, and thank you for the wonderful questions. I really do appreciate it.
As always, like everybody out there, honestly, follow Tony on Twitter. It's a great follow. He's blowing up in a big way, in a good way. Again, Tony D'Angelo 7. Plus, if you have anything that you want to, maybe he can try to find out for you. No guarantees that he can do it, but he will try. Send it my way, leelcradio@gmail.com, or just message Tony directly on Twitter. Tony, thanks. I'll talk to you next week.
Pal, thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.